Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is March the 8th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. So far, my Saturday is going well. It's going great, I dare say. Hopefully, it stays that way. Knock on some wood. We got up, usual early, and then hung out for a little bit. Around 8 or so, I was like, you know what? Time to go to the gym. Went to the gym. It went well. It was nice. Also, this is something I haven't mentioned this week, but I feel like it's worth telling. I want to say at least 4 times this week, the lunk alarm has gone off. It's gone off so many times that I've actually now, I know where the button is. Because it's like, oh, and I think it's because there's like a newer wave of staff and they're just a little bit more keen on doing it, which is like, hey, you're sticking to your rules. No lunks in the area. But like, after the second time, especially like, one time it was 3 times in the same day. I'm like, dude, what is this? The Blitz? Like, what's going on? Are we going to war? What? Oh no, you just don't want to hear some weights clatter. Like, come on, man. I don't know. That is one of the pangs of Planet Fitness. But hey, it's all good overall. I did want to report in a little bit of a weigh-in check. Drum roll, please. We officially weighed in at 207 today. So I'm very excited about that. Breaking 210, being sub 210. Yo, like it's crazy for me. It's a dream and then some. It's one of those things where I didn't think it would be possible for me to do it, especially at the rate of pace that I've been able to do it. Shout out to that cold, because really it just did something to my brain, having to take 2 or 3 days just off of my usual eating habits, eating soup, no bread, and then coming off of that and saying, all right, maybe we just do a tighter diet, meat and rice, and eventually just distilling it down into chicken and rice. And I mean, it's been going well. It's been nice to not just maintain the weight that I lost since the cold, but then also lose more weight has felt amazing. It's felt really good. So we love that. Granted, I know it's subject to change. I'm sure by, Sunday, Monday, after this weekend, I'll be nice and plump again, or plumper again, whatever. And it's all good. I know this is a journey. You do a little bit of rubber banding, but you keep trying to move forward. That's the goal. At least that's my goal right now. Though I will say I don't want to say I'm getting to that point, but where, how much weight do I really want to lose, right? I think if I was being super like hyper, like optimistic about how much I could lose, maybe I could get down to the BMI weight, which would be 180. But to me, I think if I got to 190, to stop there for the weight loss and then focused on bulking up and having more muscle, that would be the key. That's more of what I want to see out of this as I get here. Because once again, I had no plans on being here. I thought if I got here, I would look completely different. And I look different. I feel different, but it's not exactly where I wanted to have this end. So I'm still trying to work on, my physical composition, really getting rid of the body fat, reducing the body fat. So, that is where we're at right now in terms of the weight check right there. I will keep you posted on more details in the future if they're good. If they're not, then just secretly know I'm probably getting fatter, and that's all good. That's fine. It's okay. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our startup and get to some news. All right. Our first story comes from the BBC. Worst violence in Syria since Assad fall as dozens killed in clashes. Security forces of Syria's new rulers have engaged in heavy fighting with fighters loyal to deposed President Bashar al-Assad in a coastal area of the country. It is the worst violence in Syria since rebels toppled Assad in December and installed an Islamist transitional government. A war monitoring group, the British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, said more than 70 people have been killed. A curfew has been imposed in the cities of Latakia, Tartus, we're going to say Tartus, where the fighting has broken out. BBC Verify confirmed the location of 2 videos posted online that showed gunmen shooting repeatedly at a building, igniting a fire inside in the city of Homs on Thursday evening. Two other verified videos show a body being dragged behind a car in Latakia. Let's skip ahead a little bit. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said on Friday that 71 people had been killed, including 35 members of government forces, 32 gunmen affiliated to the former regime's army, and 4 civilians. The clashes left tens of others injured, the human rights group said. Gunmen from the former regime had ambushed military forces, checkpoints, and headquarters along the coastline, the organization said. One Sunni civilian witness called the attack planned and prepared, while another told BBC Arabic that the indiscriminate firing on everyone, including paramedics, was like something from the previous Assad regime. They did not have any mercy, so we are against any violence against anyone in the Syrian coast who has not been involved in this unrest. All of them are civilians, and they are all like our family, they explained. One Alawite said, many Syrian people are scared regardless of if they were on the coast or in the capital. Which is, a reference to, the tensions that we've talked about before in Syria, especially since Assad, fled, went to exile, went to Russia, whatever. That a lot of the, racial tensions are up because people are afraid of reprisals for being Alawite, being in this area, being in this region, being connected, tied to Assad. And, his atrocities potentially, I think people are worried about any kind of potential retribution. So in something like this, you have these two sides where it's like, hey, people are saying this is kind of an adequate response because they've been getting attacked by these loyalists. They're trying to clear them out. They've given them, plenty of opportunities to lay down their arms and get assimilated into the new government. And they're choosing not to take it. They're choosing to fight back. But then there's the other part of like, well, if they're killing indiscriminately or they're hitting this so hard and, hurting innocent people and civilians, of course, then, that's very bad. That's the same shit as before, right? With Bashar al-Assad. It's the same kind of concerns and fears. So, definitely felt very relevant to bring up this update coming out of Syria, at least touch on it. And I'll go ahead and leave it there for now. Let's go on to Canada. Oh, Canada. Once again from the BBC. 12 injured in shooting at Toronto pub. 3 suspects are still at large after 12 people were injured in a shooting at a pub in Toronto, police in the Canadian city say. The shooting took place at 22:39 on Friday local time near Scarborough City Centre in eastern Toronto. Authorities said 6 people suffered bullet wounds and others were hurt by flying or broken glass. The injuries were not life-threatening, they said. Toronto police said the 3 men had entered the pub and opened fire indiscriminately. They had been armed with an assault rifle and handguns. A motive right now remains unclear, and we're chasing down all leads. Police Sergeant, or I don't know what this means, Souped Paul McIntyre. Superintendent, maybe? Probably not. I don't know. Anyway, Canadians, let me know what that means. This was a brazen and reckless act of violence that's really shaken our community and the city itself, he added. Police said they were deploying all available resources to find the suspects. Earlier, they said that one suspect wearing a black balaclava had been seen fleeing the scene in a silver car. The victims ranged in age from their 20s to mid-50s, according to the police. So, just wanted to touch on that shooting that took place. I feel like we haven't covered maybe as many shootings, but at this point, this is like not an American one. It's north of the border. So, felt like it was more worth mentioning, I guess, in that regard, because you don't really hear about that as often. But I think they said from this article that the number's kind of been going up but I mean, it's an early assessment of that. What we're in February? No, March. We're in March. Oopsie. Time. Funny thing. The number of those injured in this incident is high compared to other shootings in the area in 2024. Last year, 8 people were injured and 2 killed in shootings and firearm discharges in the police division where Friday's incident occurred, the department data shows. In Toronto, which has 3 million, which has a population of 3 million, 43 people were killed in shootings last year. All right. Enough of the statistics. Now we got to talk about some spy stuff for the rest of the episode. We're going to do a little bit of espionage talk. Our first story comes out of Al Jazeera. 3 Bulgarians found guilty of spying for Russia from UK base. 3 Bulgarian nationals based in the United Kingdom have been convicted by a London jury of spying for Russia on what police said was an industrial scale. The trio was accused of putting lives in danger as they followed orders on behalf of Russian intelligence to carry out surveillance across Europe on Kremlin opponents, including journalists, diplomats, and Ukrainian troops. A jury at London's Old Bailey court on Friday found Bulgarian nationals Katrin Ivanova, 43, Vanya Gabrova, 30, and Tiumir Ivanchev, 39, guilty of spying for Russia on what police said was an industrial scale. The trio engaged in a series of surveillance and intelligence operations over 3 years, during which one of their ringleaders nicknamed them the Minions, a reference to the yellow sidekicks in the movie Despicable Me, who worked for supervillain GRU. The defendants, who worked for the Russian intelligence service GRU, which that's clever, face up to 14 years in prison when they are sentenced in May, along with 3 other Bulgarian members of the same spy cell. The trio's leader, Orlan Rusev, 43, his deputy, Bizar Dezhamazov, Dezhambazov, 43, and co-conspirator Ivan Stoyanov had all pleaded guilty for spying for Russia shortly before the trial. Rusev received more than 200,000 euros or $217,000 US dollars to fund the spying activities. The mastermind of the operation was alleged Russian agent Jan Marsalik, 44, an Austrian businessman wanted by Interpol after the collapse of German payment processing firm Wirecard. Marsalik, whose current whereabouts are unknown but is believed to be in Russia, acted as a go-between, linking Russian intelligence and the spy ring, instructing them to carry out 6 serious operations in the UK, Austria, Spain, Germany, and Montenegro until their arrest in 2023. This was spying on an almost industrial scale on behalf of Russia, the Russian state, and Russian intelligence services. Commander Dominic Murphy, the head of London Police's counterterrorism command, said. British prosecutors said Marsalik tasked the British-based Bulgarian team with spying on Ukrainian soldiers being trained at a UK base in Germany with a view to tracking their movements on the battlefield after Russia's 2022 invasion. Another operation involved on spying on Christo Grozev, a journalist with investigative website Bellingcat, who led a report on the 2018 poisoning of Russian double agent Sergei Skripal in Salisbury, England, with a view to kidnapping or even killing him. The group also targeted British-based Russian Roman Dobrokotov, editor-in-chief of Insider, Sergei Reskaliev, a former Kazakh politician granted asylum in the UK, and Russian dissident Kirill Couture. They discussed dropping fake pig's blood on the Kazakhstan embassy in London by drone as part of a fake protest intended to win favor with Kazakh spies. Police found a trove of what they called really sophisticated spyware in a raid on Rousset's operations center in the former guest house in the seaside town of Great Yarmouth, described in text messages as his Indiana Jones garage. It included homemade audiovisual spy devices hidden inside everyday objects, including a rock, men's ties, a Coke bottle, and of course, a Minions cuddly toy. Really sophisticated devices, the sort of thing you would really expect to see in a spy novel, were found here in Great Yarmouth and London, said Murphy. Now, this is where it fully triggered for me that I did tell this story, or at least talked about the story at some point in 2023, because of the love triangle aspect that is involved, at least in some, like, part of their apprehension, some of these guys and gals. Does Hamabov, does Hambazov, we're going to stick with that maybe, who worked for a medical courier company but claimed to be an Interpol police officer, was in a relationship with two other defendants, his laboratory assistant partner, Ivanova, and beautician Gabrova, sure. Gabrova, in turn, had ditched painter-decorator Ivanchev for Deshambazov, who took her to Michelin-starred restaurants and stayed with her in a 5-star hotel. When police moved in to arrest the suspects in February 2023, they found Deshambazov in bed with Gabrova rather than at home with Ivanova. So, I mean, it's crazy that they're doing all this spy shit, but then also fucking each other and stuff, and it's getting really tangled. I mean, this really is playing out like a fucking whole spy novel, which I find interesting. Both women claimed during the trial that they had been deceived and manipulated by Deshambazov. But yeah, it looks like their sentencing is going to be between May 7th and May 12th. So we'll touch on this shit one more time before we close it out there. But yeah, interesting, insights into this whole little spy effort. And we have one more spy thing I wanted to cover. This time we're talking between the U.S. and China. But yeah, let me go ahead and take my last break and we'll close it out there. All right. Our last story comes from ABC News. Active duty Army soldier charged with selling classified info to China. An active duty U.S. Army sergeant has been charged with repeatedly selling sensitive military and national defense secrets to co-conspirators working on behalf of China, according to newly unsealed court records. Jian Zhao, a battery supply sergeant stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington State, is alleged by federal prosecutors to have communicated with an unnamed co-conspirator from July to December of last year in order to sell an encrypted military computer and 20 classified hard drives. Zhao is charged with conspiring to obtain and transmit national defense information, as well as bribery and theft of government property. In addition to Zhao's arrest, federal prosecutors in Oregon have also charged another active duty U.S. Army soldier stationed at the same base, who they allege shared sensitive information related to the military's weapon system with a former soldier, according to a press release from the Justice Department. Li Qian allegedly shared documents that related to Bradley and Stryker U.S. Army fighting vehicles with Ryoyu Duan, a former U.S. Army soldier. Both were taken into custody on Thursday and charged with conspiring to commit bribery and theft of government property, according to the DOJ. Let's see here, skipping ahead a little bit. In the alleged scheme involving the sale of the encrypted computer, prosecutors said Zhao was paid $1,000 and told his co-conspirator it's for two functions. It's for encryption slot or for hard drive. It's very rare now, hard to find. If you can guarantee both of our safety while making some money for both of us, sell it. It's the end of the year. Zhao also allegedly engaged in talks with two buyers from China, including his original co-conspirator, to sell them classified hard drives. According to prosecutors, red stickers on the hard drive indicated that they contained secret level information, while yellow or orange stickers indicated they contained top secret level information. Now I want to pause here, because wouldn't you think, and maybe this is just me being stupid, because I don't know, I'm not a military person, I'm not in the upper echelons of, the FBI or anything, I don't get this shit, but wouldn't you think it'd be the other way around? Like, if it was top secret, it would be red tagged, because that's like the most important, and then like the other stuff, if it's just base level secret, then it would just be orange or yellow. I don't know. Maybe that's supposed to be a little intentional switcheroo. Whatever. Anyway, I thought that was interesting that the color coding was what it was. I have many computer hard drives, Zhao allegedly said to his co-conspirator. It may not be possible to check the contents of the hard drives. Tomorrow, I will check how many are left. Do you understand classified and do you understand unclassified and secret? And my ass would be like, maybe I fucking don't understand. Maybe I don't know the difference. According to prosecutors, Zhao was paid at least $7,500 for selling multiple hard drives to buyers, and in October offered additional classified hard drives. Also in October, prosecutors said Zhao sold sensitive military documents that he had photographed at his base, which he offered at a starting price of $3,000 to $4,000 each. Ultimately, his co-conspirator agreed to the sale of $6,500 for two documents. Court documents include surveillance photos of Zhao taking photos of documents at his desk with a smartphone. At the same time, prosecutors alleged he was communicating with his associate. In a memo asking a judge to detain Zhao before trial, prosecutors detailed Zhao's ties to China and his communications, in which he has repeatedly said he wants to move back to the country, telling one person he offered sensitive intelligence to, "Damn it, I really want to go back to China." Now, to me, all of this was like, I needed to find more of a motive, because like the amount of money he was asking for and getting didn't seem to really like add up, right? Like, you're getting maybe several $1,000s, and that's cool and all, but like the risks of going to jail, in a country that now is saying, hey, you're a traitor to this country, you're doing all the spy shit. Like, the stakes to me seem way too high for that low amount of money. But I guess just tying it up with the whole idea of like saying, hey, I don't just want to do this because I want to make a quick buck, I want to make a turnover, I want to make some money for me, but the idea of saying, hey, I'm going to do this because I want to get out of here, and you guys might be my ticket out of here and into like some safety or better position if I get to China, whereas in the other situation with the Bulgarians, I'm still curious about that too, because one guy at the very tippy top, the Sir Gru, if you will, he's getting $200,000 or 200,000 euros to do this operation, but I imagine most of that's going to the operation. So like, are these guys and gals in that scenario, are they doing it for the love of the game, right? Or are they just trying to spy? Because to me, the incentive has got to be good. It's got to be big. To me, this doesn't seem that big enough. Just kind of moving back to the Zhao situation. Let's see. I'll close out with the last paragraph here. Prosecutors said they believe Zhao maintains a warehouse that they have been unable to locate and has also taken other sensitive information, but do not know where that information is or to whom it was sent, which I kind of believe, because like, once again, talking about his prices, like, it seemed like this guy was like really down to clown. He was really down to flip as much information and make a buck, because that just doesn't seem like a good enough payout. But if you got it on lock, you have like a good sound setup and you can keep making money, then, okay. I'm sure you're not getting paid enough on even a military salary for sure. So more money is already probably enough instead to get the average person to get on board to be a spy, right? But yeah, money talks, bullshit walks. But anyway, that is where I will leave it for today. I kind of enjoyed really just kind of getting into some spy shit. You know what I mean? That was nice. It's always cool. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any other socials. And hopefully subscribe to the YouTube. That really helps out. Another way that helps out is following me on TikTok or Spotify. Those are like the main platforms. I feel like I do the most numbers, do the most for me. If we get up there, we blow up one day, you know, maybe, baby. But yeah, leave a like, leave a cool comment. Sharing is caring. We always appreciate that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.